It starts as a whisper, a faint tug at the edges of your soul, like the echo of a song you can't quite remember. You wake up one morning, and the life that once felt familiar now feels foreign. The things you once pursued with such urgency, success, approval, comfort, suddenly seem empty, like shadows of a purpose you've yet to uncover. There's a restlessness that creeps in, weaving itself into your thoughts, your emotions, even your body. A sense that something deeper is calling you. But this isn't chaos, it's an awakening, a quiet unraveling of the illusions you've carried, an invitation to step into a truth you've always known but never fully understood. Eckhart Tolle once said, "Awakening is not changing who you are, but discarding who you are not." And in that moment of recognition, the journey begins. It's not always gentle. The path of awakening often disrupts, dismantles, and demands, but beneath the discomfort lies a promise, a life aligned with your soul, a life of purpose, clarity, and connection. What if every tear, every question, every sleepless night was not a sign of something breaking, but of something emerging, a new way of seeing, a new way of being? And with this shift comes the changes, the emotional waves, the longing for meaning, the signs that something extraordinary is unfolding within you. The awakening begins with your emotions. It doesn't politely knock, it rushes in like a storm, stirring up everything you've tried to bury. Joy and sorrow, gratitude and regret. Waves of emotion crash into you, each one unearthing a truth you didn't know you carried. You may feel joy so profound it brings tears, only to be followed by sadness that feels endless. This is the heart's way of clearing space, making room for something greater. Pema Chodron calls it leaning into the discomfort, and it's through this leaning that healing begins. These emotional shifts are not chaos, they are clarity unfolding. And then there's the empathy, so sharp it feels almost unbearable. You start to feel the pain of others as if it were your own. The laughter of a stranger fills you with joy. The suffering of the world weighs heavy on your spirit. It's as though the walls between you and others have disappeared, leaving only connection. But in these waves, you might ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Why does everything hurt and heal at the same time? The answer lies not in resisting these emotions, but in allowing them to flow. Emotions are the soul's language, guiding you toward the parts of yourself that need attention. And as your emotions shift, so too does your perspective, a longing for something deeper, a purpose that transcends the surface of everyday life. Awakening pulls you into a quest, a search for meaning that can no longer be ignored. The life you once lived, the routines and goals that seemed so important, now feel hollow. There's a stirring within, a voice whispering, "There must be more than this." You find yourself questioning everything, your relationships, your career, your habits, even your identity. The search isn't about abandoning these things, it's about seeing them through a new lens. Marianne Williamson reminds us, something amazing happens when we surrender and just love. We melt into another world, a realm of power already within us. And it's this surrender, this love, that begins to reshape your values. What once mattered, status, material success, validation from others, starts to fade. In its place emerges a desire for authenticity, connection, and purpose. You might feel drawn to simplicity, to spending time in nature, or to practices like meditation that connect you with your inner self. These shifts aren't random. They're the soul's way of steering you back to what truly matters. But this search isn't without its challenges. It's uncomfortable to let go of what no longer aligns, to step into the unknown. Yet, as you peel back the layers, you begin to realize that meaning isn't something you find, it's something you create. And as you search for meaning, you'll start to notice signs, subtle and profound, that the universe is speaking directly to you, guiding you along this journey. When you begin to awaken, the universe starts to whisper, and sometimes it shouts. These whispers come as synchronicities, those seemingly random events that align so perfectly, they feel like more than coincidence. You think of a friend you haven't spoken to in years, and they call you. You're contemplating a major decision, and a stranger mentions exactly what you needed to hear. Synchronicities are not accidents. They're the language of the universe, guiding you toward your next step. Deepak Chopra calls this the cosmic choreography, a divine interplay between your intentions and the energy of the world around you. These moments remind you that you're not alone in this journey, that there's an unseen force aligning events in your favor. At first, you might dismiss them. It's just a coincidence, you tell yourself. But as they become more frequent, you start to notice a pattern, a rhythm. These events often appear when you're questioning, searching, or on the brink of a breakthrough. They're the universe's way of saying, you're on the right path. Keep going. And synchronicities aren't just external, they reflect your internal state. The more you align with your truth, the more these signs appear, encouraging you to trust in the process. They're not there to dictate your journey, but to remind you that the answers you seek are already within. And yet, even with these signs, the path of awakening can feel disorienting, like losing yourself before finding a deeper truth. Awakening isn't always light and clarity. Often, it feels like being plunged into darkness, where everything familiar dissolves. The person you once were, the identity you clung to, the roles you played, no longer fits. You might feel like you're losing yourself, but what's really happening is a shedding, a breaking apart of illusions to reveal something truer underneath. This phase, often called the dark night of the soul, is not a punishment. It's an essential part of the journey, a purification that forces you to confront what's been hiding in the shadows. Eckhart Tolle describes this as the collapse of the story of who you thought you were. In this collapse, the ego struggles, clinging to what it knows, creating a sense of despair and confusion. You might question everything, your relationships, your purpose, even your connection to the divine. The world feels heavy, and you feel disconnected from it all. But this disconnection is part of the process. It's clearing space for something greater to emerge. In this darkness, you're not alone. It's here that the universe works quietly, guiding you toward transformation. The pain is temporary, but the growth it sparks is profound. As you move through this phase, you start to notice glimmers of light, a new perspective, a deep inner strength, and a connection to something far greater than yourself. And as you emerge from the darkness, you begin to see how this transformation touches every part of your life, especially the relationships that shape and reflect your journey. As you awaken, your relationships begin to shift. The connections that once felt stable may now feel strained, as if the ground beneath them has shifted. This is because awakening changes not only how you see yourself, but how you see others. Old dynamics rooted in ego and attachment start to fall away, making space for relationships built on authenticity and love. You might find that some people no longer resonate with you, and that's okay. As your frequency changes, so does your circle. This isn't about judgment, it's about alignment. Marianne Williamson reminds us, love is what we were born with. Fear is what we have learned here. Awakening helps you return to love, and in doing so, you naturally attract connections that reflect your truest self. But this transformation isn't always easy. Letting go of relationships can feel like loss, even when it's necessary for growth. At the same time, new relationships may emerge, ones that challenge you to expand and grow in ways you never expected. These connections often feel profound, as though the universe brought them into your life at the perfect moment. And then there are the relationships that deepen. As you awaken, you become more present, more compassionate. You listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. You see others not as reflections of your expectations, but as souls on their own journeys. This shift in perspective brings a profound sense of gratitude and connection. And as your relationships transform, so too does your ability to integrate these changes into every part of your life, creating a path of alignment and authenticity. As the awakening deepens, you might feel an almost magnetic pull toward solitude. It's not loneliness, it's an urge to disconnect from the noise of the world and reconnect with yourself. The chatter of daily life, the demands of society, and the endless distractions that once felt normal now seem unbearable. You begin to crave silence, stillness, and simplicity. Nature, in particular, becomes a refuge. The rustling of leaves, the rhythm of waves, or the quiet of a forest feels like a balm for your soul. In these moments, you're not running away. You're running towards something, your truth. This solitude is essential for integration. It creates the space needed to reflect on the shifts happening within you. Thich Nhat Hanh often spoke of returning to the self, a process of grounding and centering that solitude provides. It's in these quiet moments that clarity emerges, allowing you to hear the whispers of your soul without interference. But solitude isn't just about being alone. It's about being present. Whether you're walking in nature or sitting in stillness, these moments of connection remind you of the vastness of life and your place within it. And as solitude nurtures your connection to yourself, a remarkable shift occurs. You begin to feel the emotions of others more deeply, as if their pain and joy were your own. With awakening comes an open heart, one that feels the world's joy and pain with an intensity you never expected. You might find yourself crying at a stranger's story, feeling the weight of someone else's struggle, or being moved by acts of kindness in ways that surprise you. This heightened empathy is not a weakness, it's a gift. It's the universe reminding you of your interconnectedness with all living beings. Marianne Williamson describes this as the recognition of the divine in others, a profound sense of compassion that transforms how you relate to the world. But this deep empathy can also feel overwhelming. You may need to learn how to create boundaries, not to block out emotions, but to hold space for yourself. Compassion begins with self-care, understanding that you can only pour into others when your own cup is full. Over time, this empathy becomes a source of strength. It fuels acts of kindness, inspires service, and deepens your relationships. It teaches you that love is not a limited resource, but an infinite wellspring, one that grows the more you give. And as these shifts continue, you realize that awakening isn't just a personal journey. It's a call to live your truth and let your light touch the world. As your awakening unfolds, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your intuition sharpens. You start to feel a quiet certainty about things you can't logically explain. It's like an inner compass, gently guiding you toward choices and opportunities aligned with your soul's path. This heightened intuition doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in subtle ways, a gut feeling about a decision, an inexplicable knowing that something is or isn't right. You might even find yourself avoiding situations or people without knowing why, only to realize later that your instincts were protecting you. Eckhart Tolle calls this the intelligence of presence, the awareness that arises when you're deeply connected to the moment. As you learn to trust this inner voice, you begin to navigate life with greater clarity and confidence. The more you listen, the louder it becomes, and the more aligned your life feels. But intuition is not just about guidance, it's about connection. It's the language of your soul, a reminder that you are always supported by a force greater than yourself. As you cultivate this connection, you realize that answers don't always come from outside, they arise from within. Awakening is not a destination, it's a journey, a continual unfolding of who you are and who you're meant to become. It's an invitation to step into the unknown, to embrace both the beauty and the discomfort of growth. As you navigate the signs of your awakening, remember that you are not alone. The universe is with you, guiding you through synchronicities, emotions, and moments of clarity. Each step you take brings you closer to your authentic self, to a life of deeper meaning, connection, and joy. So pause, breathe, trust. You are awakening to the infinite possibilities within you. This is just the beginning.